In this lesson module, we're going to talk about learning the notes on the fretboard and getting to know them quite intimately and knowing them cold. That's one of the things as a guitarist that you have to get down. There's just no way around that. And this is one of the things that is going to take it to the next level, what I call one of the 5 Ks. So you want to download this corresponding sheet that has the first 12 frets of the fretboard laid out. And I just want to show you a few tricks. The first thing you have to know is the 12-note scale, and that's in Western music. Since the beginning of Western music, there's 12 notes, and that's it. And we're just playing various combinations and chords involving these 12 notes. These notes are written out for you on the sheet, and I'll start with A. And basically, in the most common of terms, the notes are A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, and G sharp. Those are all 12. The great thing about guitar is that those 12 notes will always be in that order on the guitar neck, alphabetically like that. Wherever you have a C note, for instance, the next note is a C sharp. The next note is going to be a D, E flat, E, and so on and so forth. So if you memorize that order, I want you to memorize the order of the notes, starting with A, B flat, B. Get that cold memorized, then you'll be able to find any note on the guitar neck at any given time. You'll just have to count up. I'm going to show you some shortcuts so you don't have to count up. Because if you're playing a chord change, you're not going to have time to go A, B flat, B, B, C, D, D, and then play the D. By then the chord change is come and gone. But that's the way you're going to start to get them down. And of course you got to know the open strings, because that's going to be our starting point. And everybody, I believe, most guitarists, that should be one of the first things that you learn. So the open strings are E, A, D, G, B, E. Those are the 6 open strings. And an acronym for that I read once is Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye, Eddie. E for Eddie, A for 8, and so on and so forth. So you'll never forget that again. Just remember, Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye, Eddie. E-A-D, G-B-E. Okay. So if you know the open string names, E-A-D, G, B, and E, and if you know the order of the notes, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, yada, 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 down the line, you could find any note on the guitar neck. Remember, they're always in that order on the guitar. Okay? It's not like that per se on a lot of other instruments like the piano, where all the white keys are all your whole notes and the blacks are your sharps and flats. Guitar is a little different, but it's beautiful. The guitar is very mathematical, very repetitive. You're going to just see it repeating over and over, every 12 notes in fact. So your open E, your first note, if you play the low E string open is E, then the next note at the first fret has got to be an F. Because remember, the order is E, F, F sharp, G. So F, second fret, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E. You're at your octave at the 12th fret. Same thing with all the strings. The A string open, the note after A is B flat, if you know that 12-note order. So that's your B flat. A, open, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, and so on and so forth. So this is how you can get to know all these notes down cold. A couple tricks is you could use what I call the octave principle. An octave is just a same given note, 12 notes above or below a given pitch. Like this is an E, low E. If I wanted to play 1 octave higher, I would just go 12 frets up, because remember, the notes repeat every 12. Here's at the 12th fret. Same exact, that's an E, 1 octave higher. I can go 2 octave higher, play the open E. Same note, 2 octaves higher. The first thing you want to do is you want to learn these 2 strings, the low E string and the A string cold. You want to just know those strings cold. A lot of chords we're going to be learning are going to have roots on those strings, so you just pretty much got to know them cold. And if you want to use these dots, which are fret indicators, that's fine. Most guitars have them except classical guitars. 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7, 9, double dot is 12, 15, 17, 19, 21. And they're also up top on your guitar, so when you're standing up and playing, you could see them. See, the dots are on the top. That's why they're there. So you can see those when you're having the guitar strung with a strap standing up. You might not see the horizontal face. So if you want to use that to know that's the 3rd fret and start learning that G, A, B, that's fine. But however you do it, you just want to learn these top 2 strings cold, the low E and the A. So then we're going to use this octave principle, and that the strings are related in this matter. The low E is related to the D string in this manner, where if you play a G on the low E, and then you just go down 2 strings and over 2 frets on the D string, you have the same note. There's a G. So you could see I'm playing my G here. If I go down 2 strings over 2 frets, I have an octave. So if I ask, if you're learning the notes and someone asks you, what note is this? And you don't want to count all the way up, just say, well, I know that's the same note as this, which is a G, and I know that's a G because I memorized these 2 strings. G, G. And that works wherever. Here's a C note. I'm at the 8th fret on the low E. If I go down 2 strings and over 2 notes, I have another C. So I'm playing this note and this note. So someone asks what that note is, just relate it back to your octave. C, and soon you'll get these very quick. The next string, the A string, is related to the G string in the same manner. Down 2, over 2, same note. So if I'm playing this C note here on the A string, this note here, down 2, over 2, there's my C. There's my D. There's my E. F. G. A. So if you're looking at this note here, wondering what note that is, so if I'm playing a C, go down 2 strings over 2 frets, there's another C on the G string. A string, C, G string, there's my C. And that works all the way up and down the fretboard between those 2 strings. There's a D, D and D, E and E, F and F, G and G, A and A. So if you're looking at like this note here, and you're saying, well, what note is this? And you don't want to count up, which would be, normally if you want to count, that's G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, D. An easier way is just relate it, since you are going to memorize these 2 strings, just say, well, I know this note and this note are the same. That's my D. So that has to be a D. Really quick way. Okay, getting to know the notes on the B string is a little bit different if you want to use the octaves principle we've been talking about. And the reason is because the interval changes. See, all the strings, when you're going like your low E to your A, that's a 4th. When you're going from the A to your D, that's a 4th. D to G is a 4th. But when you go G to B, the interval changes to a 3rd. So this is why when you're tuning your guitar and you're tuning it like this, getting those notes same, you have to go outside to get that B note, because that interval is no longer a 4th, it's a 3rd. And the reason they do that, as a side note, just in case you want to know, the reason we tune guitars like that is because it makes it a lot easier to play chords. Like you wouldn't be able to finger a lot of these open position chords if that interval was a 4th like all the other ones, and that's basically why. So when you're getting to know this string and you want to learn by octaves, and you're comparing that to the D string, it's no longer you go down 2 and over 2. Now you got to go down 2 and over 3, because you need that little bit extra to make that interval work. So for instance, this note here, which we know is a G, to play the G on the B string, you got to go down 2 and over 3. And there's our interval, and that works. Here is an F note. There's my F note. Here's my E note. So that's going to give you the ability to tell what note. For instance, this I know is my A note. Same note as here. Same note as here. That's my A note. And the high E string, to learn that, is simple, because it's the exact same note names as on the low E string. You have your low E, F. You have your high E, F, F sharp, G, low E, E, F sharp, G. It's the same note names, just 2 names up, 2 octaves up. So if you learn this low E string, you get the high E string automatically. Buy one, get one free, so to speak. You learn this one, you got this one. So my first thing, again, what you want to do is you want to learn the low E and the A cold. If you learn those 2 cold, you'll automatically know the high E because it's the same note names as the low E. So you'll have 3 out of 6 strings, just like that. You'll have 50% of the fretboard done. And then you're going to use the octave principle to get the other 3 down. A quick exercise to help you, once you get these a little more comfortable with them, is play from the 1st to the 12th fret. We're going to play all of the, pick a note, we'll play all of the A notes. But you're going to go string by string and try to find all the A notes without using the octave principle, because that'll make it too easy. So we've got to challenge you a little bit. So what I mean by this is you play the A on the low E, then you got to play the A on the next string, on the A string, which is open or at the 12th fret. Then you want to play your A on the D string, which is up here at the 7th fret. Then you want to play your A on the G string, which is at the 2nd fret. Then you want to play the A on the B string. Then you want to play your A on the high E. Okay, but you want to get to a point where you could roll from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, almost without thinking. So you're doing that fast. Do it with the C notes. Okay, so you're going to find all your C's. So low E, and my C note right here at the 8th fret. Then you have another C here, the 3rd fret. Okay, then you have up here on the 10th fret on the D string. C notes right here on the 5th fret on the G string. So you want to be able to get to your C's quick. C, 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 C. See that quick. So what I recommend doing is take 2 notes for 2 nights in a row. So on practice day 1, like on Monday, do A and do G. A and G. And do those, spend 5 minutes up and down the 6 strings just like that. Practice day 2, do C and E. I'm sorry, practice day 3. First day and second day you're going to do A and G. Then 3 and 4 you could do C and E. And in day 5 and 6 you can do B and D. Okay? So you want to do those and then go back to the beginning and do those again. Start with the whole notes and then go to like F sharp and B flat and C sharp, but get the whole tones down first, because we'll spend a lot of time at first playing things like you'll be playing a lot in A and G and C and D, so you want to get those down. So each time you practice, spend a little time getting to know these notes, get these 2 strings down cold, that'll give you the high E string, and then use the octave principle I just described. Here is the handout that has all the notes I put for each string. Okay? Good bathroom reading. Just wanted to clarify one thing when we're talking about the 12-note scale. I gave you the notes G sharp, A, B flat, B. I get a lot of questions. Is a note really called, is it a G sharp, is it an A flat, even though it's the same note? Is it an E flat or is it a D sharp? It really depends on what scale you're playing and in the context that you're using it. If a scale calls for a flat third, well then it's going to be the flatted version of the note. If it's sharp 4, then it's going to be the sharp one. Even though it's the same note, theoretically, there is a reason if it's called one or the other. But for discussional purposes, if you just memorize the notes like I told you, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, and G sharp, I wanted to try to make it as simple as possible, and I'm using the more common names. But occasionally you will hear, and it would be theoretically correct if someone's calling an A flat note rather than G sharp, or D sharp rather than E flat. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that moving forward.